Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with another Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord developer blog video. I'm actually going back in time a little bit here because there was a very important developer blog that I missed back at the end of November. So it's been over a month since this has been out, but I haven't heard a lot about it, which I'm kind of surprised about. And so many of you are probably familiar with this already, but I figured I'd go ahead and make the video and just weigh in with my thoughts. And then the next one will be on the persuasion system, and I don't know when they're going to release another one because I think they've taken one off for the holidays. I don't think there was one on Thursday. So I guess we'll have to wait and see whatever the next one is. But this developer blog from November 22nd is titled Ruwa, which is the name of the first child to ever exist in Calradia, basically. So let's get into it. Greetings, warriors of Calradia. Great news, the first baby in Calradia has been born. Yay. The mother is us, the player, a woman named Boudica, named after the Britain queen from Roman times. A caravan raider hailing from the misty foothills of Britannia, a fitting place for her to be from. On our travels, read raids, we managed to steal the heart of Usair, an Aserai warlord who sports a proud mustache. Okay, so those are the parents. On the 20th of November, 1084, the year of the camel, the heavens blessed our union with the honor of parenting the very first child on the shores of Calradia. Please allow us to introduce our daughter, Ruwa, who, as of now, is still a babe, but we spared no expense and commissioned the best portraitist in the court of Unkid, the Sultan of the Aserai, who believes she will look something a little like this by the age of 10. So I think they don't have the infant models in yet. So this is the first child model that we've seen, and the face is a little bit weird. I don't know if all the child faces are going to look weird or if it's just because their particular faces didn't mesh well. I guess we'll have to see. But here she is, and she's got her own sword that's almost as tall as she is. So her beautiful face was derived from the features, face keys of her father and mother, with a small amount of randomness thrown into the mix. And thus, she has a unique face, which will retain traits of her parents into adulthood. And it is not just the facial traits that she will inherit from her parents, but also our wealth and lands too, which we worked tirelessly to accumulate through entirely legitimate means. I'm guessing that's supposed to be funny. So as she grows, she will be able to spend more time with her. We will be able to spend more time with her, interact with her, share our experiences and skills with her, and develop her into a fine young woman. And then we have all of them together. So we can see that they have some clothing variety for children in the game already. There's also some more casual, less armor-like clothing for the parents, which is something we saw a little bit of in Warband, more so in the mods. But basically there was clothing for like the villager peasants, and then everybody else just wore armor, except for the very few instances of like nobility styled clothing for feasts. So it'd be nice to see them expand on that, and it looks like they kind of have. Let's keep reading, and then I'm gonna discuss this more with my thoughts and stuff. So on a more serious note, we are extremely excited to be able to share this with you. Children are something we have been working on for some time now, and to finally see them implemented and working in-game has been a really rewarding experience. We have plenty to talk about in terms of dynasties and how children will work as a feature in the game, but we will save that for a later date. And then here we see the campaign team apparently eating a cake to celebrate. So, that's not really worth talking about because this is all in the past now. So, children, we knew that this was going to be a thing because they've confirmed permadeath a while back. I think it was at Gamescom when it was finally confirmed, but we had heard rumors about it before that. And so, obviously, if your character was going to die, you needed some replacement. The game wasn't just going to end because this is a sandbox game, not like a roguelike or anything like that. So it was kind of always up in the air how it was going to be handled, and as we can see now, your character plus whoever the other parent is will actually produce a child, and that child will be based on some combination of the two parents' appearances and probably statistics as well, with just a tiny bit of randomness thrown in, which is cool. That way, you know, it's not super formulaic to the point where you can kind of predict what every child's going to be like. And they're going to start as an infant and then grow into a child, which I don't think, based on what they said, you're going to be able to interact with much. I imagine the infant is just going to basically occupy a space in the scene wherever your home is. I don't know how that will work for characters that are not yet lords in any capacity. So if you don't have a manor, whether it be like just a hall in a village or your own castle with a your own castle or your own town with a keep, if you don't have any of these things, I don't know where your child is going to be, but I imagine that that child for a very long time is just going to sort of occupy a space in those scenes, and you can see them, but they're not going to actually do anything. And then as they grow older, it sounds like you'll be able to do more with them, kind of teach them and train them. I don't know if they'll be able to accompany you in your party, but most of the screenshots we've seen, whether it's this one or if we actually go back here, they do show children briefly in this developer blog as well. There's a kid there. That's a different kid, mind you. And then this kid here. We can see that they are able to carry weapons. This was actually a bug, though, so this isn't a great representation of that. Because when they put the children in, I guess it... I don't know why, but it gave them, like, weapons and stuff, and so you can see a kid in the place of, like, a guard here. But it seems like children can use weapons. The little girl had a sword. This kid's carrying a spear, although, again, this wasn't intentional. So maybe they can accompany you in your party in some limited capacity, maybe not into battle, hopefully not into battle, but maybe you can bring them along and kind of level them up that way. And then as they become a teen and an adult, you can, you know, bring them along in a greater capacity, potentially into battle. I imagine they'll grow up pretty quickly because, you know, in history, children did mature sooner because they had to. So, you know, as our society has gotten more and more modernized, kids were able to be kids longer because they didn't have to start working when they were, you know, 10, 12 years old. So, I am really looking forward to this feature. It'll be interesting to see how much gameplay changes with the time scale that they're going for, because again, for this to be realistic, the time has to move a lot more quickly than it did in Warband. In Warband, weeks can feel like an eternity. And so to have a child age from 0 to old enough to become the player character and, you know, lead armies into battle could take, on the Warband scale, potentially longer than anyone would ever invest in a single playthrough. So Bannerlord will need to speed things up considerably to make that a viable mechanic. And so I'll be very curious to see, again, how that influences the overall pace of the game, whether everything feels like you're playing in fast forward or if it flows really naturally. But I think this is a fantastic mechanic. I think it'll be really exciting. They haven't, again, mentioned much into the mechanic beyond what we've seen here, but it'll be cool to see whether, I mean, I really hope we can have more than just a single child per couple to have like an actual dynasty. I can't imagine them not implementing that, but there are a few decisions they've made where I was left scratching my head, so I'm not going to assume anything. But it would be really cool to be able to have, you know, several children have your own dynasty and sort of play it out in a very Crusader Kings-esque fashion. But we'll have to wait and see. So that's really all we've got for today. But I'm excited for this, and I do hope they talk about it more in the future. This is something that, again, we have nothing on, and so if they're going to keep feeding us dev blogs rather than actual gameplay, then at least give us something new and fresh like this. But as I said, that's all we're going to cover for this episode, and then next time we're going to get into the persuasion system, which is a lot more recent. This came out on the 20th, but again, there was no blog for the 27th, and so we should be seeing one in early January, which I'll cover whenever that comes out. So thank you guys so much for sticking around and talking some Bannerlord with me. I look forward to hearing what you guys think about this new system and the just children in general. But thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.